I will put me in the speaker view. And so that's the other thing I wanted to tell you is that there's the option for a gallery view or a speaker view. A gallery view will show everybody, and the speaker view just shows who's speaking. And if you want the person who's showing their thing to stay up in the big box, then you're going to go in there, within their little box, there's another blue square that has 3 dots. And if you click on that there's a drop-down option to pin your video. If you pin it, that person's box will stay in the big box. So that's the other thing. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Zoom fatigue, which is a very real phenomenon, and I know firsthand about the effects of this, but it's actually quite exhausting to be doing Zoom meetings because first of all, you've got the screen time. Second of all, we rely on body language with each other to read each other's signals, and we don't have that here. So it takes more effort to try to read people and, you know, kind of feel out where they're coming from. And also, like, I'm tracking 44 people at once. Instead of just having a one-on-one conversation, you're tracking like all these faces simultaneously, which takes a lot more effort. Also, we can see ourselves. And so that's another distraction, like you're looking at yourself and you're kind of like, oh my God, you know. So it's a lot, it's just a lot on your system, and it's really exhausting. And I find that 2 hours at a time is all I can really handle on here. So this class goes from 12:30 to 3, but my goal is to quit at 2:30. And that will give us a half an hour to work on our journal pages, because this is supposed to be including, you know, it's really mostly supposed to be studio time, but it's turning out to be more lecture time and interactive time. So we'll be ending at 2:30. And I will be posting these recordings. I'm only going to record on Monday. I'm not going to record on Wednesday when we do our sharing. And I'll be posting these recordings on my YouTube channel, which is just Carissa Luminess. And that way, if you want to watch the demo again or listen to the meditation again, or if you miss the class, then you can catch it there. But what I wanted to say about the Zoom fatigue is that one of the things that they suggested in order to kind of monitor your Zoom fatigue. One is you can get these kind of glasses that I have. They're computer glasses, and they screen out the blue light, so it's a little easier on your eyes. And also, if you want to, you can turn your camera off. If you, I think it's stop video. If you turn your own camera off, and you can kind of just sit back in the background, and that takes one less factor out of the equation. So yeah, so on Monday we're going to be doing the lesson. On Wednesday we'll be sharing. And next Monday, I didn't realize this when I typed up the syllabus, but next week is actually Memorial Day, and there's no class on Monday. So next week I'll be doing the lesson on Wednesday the 27th, which will be the Explorer Seeker. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. Also, let's see. I think I'll just wait with the beginners. I'll wait and talk about materials with you guys at the very end. But I do want to say that, you know, we use magazine images to do our collaging. And I actually have a pretty good box of magazines here. So what I'm going to do is and thanks to Bobby, she contributed most of them. Thank you, Bobby. And I think Nancy was in on that. I'm going to put the box of magazines outside my front gate. So yeah, Stephanie, I was actually told to post my recording on my YouTube channel. So that's what I was, advised to do. I'm just kind of following my orders. That's what I did a training with the college to do this. And we have our own YouTube. So anyways, that's what I'm just doing what they told me to do. So I'm gonna put the box right outside. There's a front gate right on the street side of my house. And I'm gonna give you my address right now if you wanna jot it down, if you need to get some magazines. It's 2019 Edgewater Way. And it's up on the mesa. If you go down to the end of Oliver, which is off of Cliff Drive, and you go take Oliver all the way to the end and turn left, it's the fourth house on the right. And there's a huge pine tree in front. And then there's a red gate, and the box will be right in front of the red gate.
Can you repeat your address, please?
2019 2019 Edgewater Way.
Thank
you. Can I say something?
Sure.
What about like I wipe down all my mail. Everybody's different. I wipe down boxes from Amazon. So we're all going to be touching, and neighborhood people touching magazines.
So I leave that.
Make my own choice.
Yeah, you're going to have to make the call on that. These magazines haven't been touched in a couple of weeks, but there will be people handling them. So that's your option if you want to wear gloves.
Okay.
Or just wash your hands really well afterwards. What I have gathered is that the virus doesn't live on porous paper, on porous surfaces. Okay. Which I'm pretty sure these qualify as porous, but okay. That's going to be up to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
To decide.
Carissa, could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Could you just go into chat and write down your address?
Thank you. I'm not very good at using the chat because it's kind of hard for me to
Carissa, I'll put your address in there. Don't worry about it. You can keep going. I'll do that.
I just put it in. So
okay.
It's in the chat box. Yeah, this is like really, no wonder I get so fatigued. I'm trying to take attendance. It's really multitasking. Just kind of getting, I tend to be able to remember who's here if I can take you all in. Because more of you have come on since I took my photo. Anyway, well, I'll get it figured out. There's 45 people here right now.
Lisa,
yeah.
Question.
Hi,
do we need to subscribe to your YouTube channel, or
no.
Will you send us a link?
Okay, well, that's the other thing.
Way for us to take attendance, because that's a big issue.
I'm really trying to cut way down on my screen time. So I'm not going to be emailing you guys a weekly reminder for the class. I'm really trying to cut down on my emailing because it's so intense. Like all the I won't start complaining to you guys about all these duties I have, but I'm just kind of overloaded with the screen time. So I'm trying to cut back. But if you just go to YouTube and you type in the search and you put my name, Carissa Luminess, all my YouTube recordings will come on, and they're listed by the name of the class and the date.
Okay.
So you just have to find Art Journal, May 18th.
Okay, thank you.
And that will be the recording for you.
Thank you very much.
Sure, and then you can subscribe to it if you want. Okay, how are we doing? Are we good? So why don't we I think I've just about got all this technical stuff out of the way, and we're going to get into our soul dive. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about art journaling for those of you who are new. So there's a lot of people who have been taking this class since the beginning, which has been a couple of years or more by now. And so they're kind of really familiar with the whole rhythm and how I work and the whole structure and the flow of it. But for those of you who are newer, I just want to kind of tell you, like, my approach to art journaling is that it is a portal into our soul, into connecting with our soul. And it's a way to feed our soul and to help nourish our soul and to fulfill our soul's cravings. But it's also an opportunity to listen to our soul's calling and our soul's yearning and what our soul wants from us. So that's how I approach it, is as like a dialogue with our soul. The soul does kind of communicate in the language of color and imagery more than analytical thought. And so this is a way, and music and, you know, meditation, like all the tools that we use here. So this is just really a direct way to access that that bridge of communication. And so how this is going to work is that I'm going to have a theme for every week. So my sense is that during these last few months of the coronavirus, that it's been a process of deconstruction and breaking down old structure, like literally breaking down the existing structures and the existing paradigm. And we just spent the last semester kind of deconstructing our egos and our souls and kind of breaking that down and trying to get down to our essence. And now that we are starting to re-enter back into our new paradigm, into our new reality, I feel that it is time for us to get really conscious about who we want to be and what aspects of us we want to take with us as we come back into the world. And so I've designed this whole summer series, this session and the next session. So for the next 12 weeks, we're going to be exploring various archetypes so that we can take masterful control, or at least put an intention and be more mindful about what archetypal energies do we want to embody and express in the world when we come back. Because clearly this has been a process of huge transformation. You know, I heard one person coined it as like creative destruction. And I feel that that's what's really been happening. It's been a creative act of destruction. But after the destruction comes new growth and new life. And so what new life do we want to be when we enter back in? So as we explore these different archetypes, you can decide. And the thing is that we all carry a little bit of each archetypal energy within us. And you may find that some are weaker than others. You may find that some that you've been relying on, you've outgrown, you know, they're outdated and you don't want to do that anymore. You don't want to be the role of the caregiver anymore. You're ready to be a leader, or, you know, you're done being the leader and you want to be the magician. So this is a way for you to kind of help decide what you want to carry out into the world. So that's kind of what the major overarching theme is going to be this summer. And I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be really fun. So on Mondays, I'll be kind of introducing the archetype a little bit and talking about the qualities of it. And then I will show the, I have a video demo of, I always do a watercolor wash on the background pages. And then we collage magazine images onto it. So I'm getting a little more involved with the watercolor paintings because a lot of the students are here. They're finding they like the painting process. They want to develop their watercolor skills. And they've just simply outgrown doing the simple watercolor wash backgrounds. So you can take as much or as little of the background painting as you want. You may want to simplify it. You may want to even add to it. Just use it as a jumping off point to create your own thing. So I'll show the watercolor painting. And then I'll lead you through a guided meditation so that you can access that archetypal energy from a deeper place. And then when we're in class, what we do is from that meditative state, we move right into flipping through magazines and tearing out images, because the idea is that you want to work from a subliminal place to, it's kind of more of a subconscious. And sometimes you'll come across an image that you want to put on your page and you don't even know why, but it reveals itself to you later. And that's what I'm talking about, the communication. Like the journal page will communicate to you and you'll get information from it about yourself. So just trust your impulses. If you have an impulse to tear out an image of a giraffe and you have no idea why that giraffe is going on your Magical Child page, just put it on and you'll figure out. Maybe it's because you need to reach your neck out more, stick out your neck, or reach to a higher, place to eat or something like that. But anyway, when you're collecting your images, you're going to have to start gathering a collection of images to choose from. And when you go through your magazines, pull out an image. If it gives you any kind of a response, whether a positive one of attraction or a stronger repulsive one, take the repulsive reactions too, because we want to include the shadow elements. They're just as relevant and just as important. And then when you go to do your spread, you can start pulling out images that relate, and you can start playing around with the layout and glue them down. So does anybody have any questions about that part yet? About the process? Okay. Alrighty. So I think that we'll dive right into the Magical Child then. So the Magical Child, I'm just going to start. This is my intro to the Magical Child, you guys. I am going to play you a very short video that my daughter took of my grandbaby Eldon, that I really feel like it really captures the Magical Child. And then I'll talk about it. There were mountains on a hill, but I never heard them ring. Oh, I never heard them at all till there was you. There were birds in the sky, but I never saw them singing. No, I never saw them at all till there was you. And there was music and wonderful mountains. They tell me in sweet, fragrant meadows of the moon and you. There was love all around. Okay. So she tells me that every time she puts on music, no matter what kind of music is, he just comes in and starts dancing. Like she knew she had the phone up ready. He was in the other room. She put the Beatles on and she knew he'd come in and start dancing. So she had the thing ready to film him. But the magical child comes out. And what I wanted you to notice in that video is the space between the loving mother and the child. The space in between them is what fosters the magical child. And so the magical child in us comes out when we are held in a space of love and where we can trust. And in that trust, you know, the magical child is also called the innocent. And the trust is so deep that you are just fully in the moment. And this is why children are so delightful. The magical child is enchanted and enchanting. And they're lighthearted and they're cheerful. And, you know, he was just so in the moment. He went over to the couch and he stood and he looked out the window and you could just feel this kind of dreamy, floaty. You could feel how he's in this space of love and just, you know, dancing. So I think the video probably is able to describe the magical child better than I can. But the main thing for us to cultivate the magical child in us is to develop that sense of really being held by a motherly, nurturing, you know, loving, total, supportive energy. And a lot of us didn't have that, you know. Ironically, I have a strong magical child, but I didn't. My mother has narcissistic personality disorder, and so she wasn't able to provide that for me. But I developed a strong connection with the Divine Mother from a very early age and was able to cultivate that magical child, which is where, you know, all my art has come out of. And we're going to be actually doing the nurture in 2 weeks. And that's kind of the other end of the spectrum of the magical child. So today we'll be doing the receiving end of the nurturing energy to cultivate those qualities. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be going to the other side and we'll be that loving mother that nurtures the magical child. So that's kind of, you probably all have a pretty good, and we all have, like I said before, we all have all of these archetypal energies in us. We all have a magical child, but the more responsibility and especially the less trust you have, like the more you've been burned by life and have armoring around you, and you're always planning ahead or, you know, so busy all the time that you're not able to just slow down and be present in the moment and take in the delights and the wonder of the beauty around you, it can be more challenging. So right now, during this quieter quarantine time, it's actually, maybe more of you have actually been able to kind of inhabit this space in yourself lately and see the power of it. It's really a great place to be. And in fact, many spiritual teachers say that this is the ultimate, you know, this is the ultimate goal in life, is to return to that place of such deep trust that you are completely in the moment, where if you hear a Beatles song, you just are going to be dancing to the Beatles because that's what you're called to do. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the, let's see, first I'm going to show you, yeah, so first what I did actually two paintings for this one, and I'm going to show them both to you, and then I'll show you the video. First, I did a painting of what I thought the magical child background should be, which was this one.
Do you want to see the painting? Sure.
Can you guys see that okay? Just give me a thumbs up if you can see it.
No, it's too far to the left, Carissa.
Now can you see it?
That's too far to the right.
There?
That's good for me. I don't know how it is for others.
It's
Can you
good.
guys see that okay?
Yep.
It's good.
Okay. So this was what, like I was thinking, magical child. And so I painted these kind of magic mushrooms at the bottom with a few flowers and put in this green field. And then I did these oak trees with kind of purple mountains behind it. And then I did a rainbow with a sky. But then it was so funny because during this process, which was last week, my mom, you know, who I had to kind of move beyond. I had to move beyond my mom to find that loving holding. And she told me this story. Oh my God. She told me this story. I was not much older than Eldon because she was pregnant with my brother, who's only a year and a half older than me. I was probably about Eldon's age. I was still in diapers. I had just woken up from a nap. We were staying at my grandmother's house in La Jolla, but my grandmother wasn't there. And I had just woken up from a nap, and my mother was outside hanging the clothes on the line. And I woke up and my mom wasn't there. So I decided to walk down to the beach. And I was walking outside on the sidewalk in my diapers, going down to the beach. And a nurse found me who knew who I was, and she brought me home. But I realized my magical child actually has always been at home at the beach, because that is where I feel the energy of the Divine Mother. So this is the actual page that I did my collage on. This is the actual watercolor I did, which is a beach painting. So, but I wanted to show you both of them so that you're going to have to decide what kind of environment your magical child wants to be in and do a painting for that. So you can either do one with similar to this with a rainbow and trees and, you know, like wildflowers or mushrooms, or you could do an ocean one or mountains, whatever environment your child wants to be. Okay, so I'm gonna show.
Ask a question?
Yes, please.
I grew up in woodlands kind of area, and that would be the first place that I found the elves and the fairies and my magical self.
Right.
But now I have to make a pilgrimage to the ocean every day to breathe that air and to bring in the magical colors of pink and lavender and gold to activate. I feel like it's my magical child. So I think perhaps the first scene on one page and the second page is seen on the second page, because my journal is 16 inches long.
Wow.
So I've got plenty of room
Yeah.
in my journal to do both.
Good. And that's a good point, you guys. I do a double-sided, you could see I do both pages of my journal. I do the spread of the whole 2 pages. So that's another option. You could do a couple of different sides. You could do you could create a couple of different environments. Like this is totally wide open. And I would say get as creative as you can. This is your place to unleash your creativity. Oh, some people weren't able to see Eldon dancing. You guys didn't see Eldon dancing?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, totally. Because the thing is, this is for you. This isn't something that, I mean, you might be showing it to some of your close people in your life, but it's not something that you're going to be hanging in a gallery. It's not for anyone else. It's only for you. So just, you know, cut loose and do whatever you feel called to do. And I'd say the more out there that you can get, the better. Jump out of the box.
Carissa, could we work on canvas instead of the paper?
Yeah, and that was another thing I wanted to say. Yes, you can work on whatever you want. And also, I know there are several of you who are in the Collage Mixed Media class and are used to creating finished pieces. And you're welcome to create paintings, finished paintings and or, you know, Collage Mixed Media pieces based on these themes and these lessons. Totally just make it your own. Take it wherever you want it to go. It's completely wide open. And if you don't want to even follow the theme, if you just want to, you know, the course description says document your life. If you just want to keep a diary of what you did that day and put it in image form, like you can work as deeply or as surfacey as you want. It's
Thank you.
totally up to you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, and Renelle wants me to show the second painting again, and I will. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the video of the demo painting for the ocean. I did initially record the mushroom one, but I ran out of space on my phone and I had to delete it to create room for my other videos. So let me just see, my storage is full. Okay, let's see here. This one. So I got, now can you guys see this okay? Okay. I got a new journal and it's different than the other one I had. The other one I had was spiral bound, and this one, the pages do open. It's a different brand. It's a Strathmore one, and I got it on sale with mail order. Art Essentials is open. Anyway, it's an 11 by 14, and like I said, I like to work on both sheets at once. And so let's see, it's been a while since I did this painting. And I think I'm gonna start with the bottom, and I'm putting in a little bit of plant life. My thought of this was kind of ice plant, you know how there's ice plant growing along. So I mixed up a green with yellow and blue, and I'm using a pretty big watercolor brush. And notice how much pigment I have. I like to use a lot of pigment with my painting because it makes the colors really rich. There's some alcohol on the page, on the other side of that page, and you can see the alcohol texture coming through, but it doesn't matter. If anything, it just adds to it. I'm not being perfect with this painting process at all.
Carissa, I don't know how everybody else's setup is, but I can see your table, your palette, and only the top third of your journal.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Can you guys see the whole thing or no?
Yes, I can see.
I can see the whole thing.
Yes,
can
I
see
can
the whole
see
thing.
everything.
I'm on full screen.
I
Yeah,
see the whole thing.
Yeah.
yeah, see the whole thing.
I can see the whole thing.
She
I can
needs
see the
to
whole
go
thing.
to the full screen thing up in the right.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is, Peggy. Let me just talk about this. I'm dropping.
I'm gonna adjust the zoom ratio.
Okay, I'm dropping some liquid concentrated watercolor into the green while it's still wet. And the trick with that, so those are complementary colors, and they're going to turn muddy unless the red is strong enough to hold its own. So I use that concentrated, Dr. Martin's concentrated liquid watercolor, and you can see how it pushed the green out enough and it created its own color. But it's just this abstract suggestion of flowers. Like, I'm not going for perfect here. Keep in mind that you're going to be collaging on this, and it's only the backdrop for your collage. So now, what am I doing? I'm mixing up my sand, and I did some gold and lavender, which are opposite colors. So I'm adding a little bit of orange here, kind of getting my color just right. Yellow and purple are complementary colors, so they make a neutral. But I added a little extra orange and yellow because I want it to be more on the golden side. And you can see some of my magenta from the flowers bled in, but that's okay. I'm just, it's still kind of wet, and I'm just letting it merge, and that's fine. Again, I have quite a bit of color mixed up. I don't mess around when I mix up my color. I use plenty of pigment. You can also use watered down acrylics for this, if that's what you have. And I added some orange to that. That got a little carried away, but it's okay. So I'm taking some water and kind of trying to blend it in. It's okay, it just makes the color more heightened. That was a concentrated, those concentrated Dr. Martens are really punchy. So a little bit goes a long way, but I'm putting a little salt in here while it's still wet to create some sand-like texture. So that's another little trick that you can do for texture. Okay, so I'm getting some questions here. Each time you dip your brush in the water, does it get rid of the previous color? Yes, it pretty much gets rid of the color. Is that India ink? Yeah, the India ink is, it's more of a permanent color. Like if India ink dries, it's not water soluble. So these are not India inks. These are actually concentrated watercolors by the same guy, Dr. Martens, who does the India inks. And they're actually a little cheaper than the India inks. So they're a nice thing to have for the art journaling. So here I have a turquoise. This is one of the Dr. Martens concentrated colors. And I'm adding water. I started out with a concentrated turquoise at the top of the horizon line, and I'm adding water as I go down. And each time you add water, it gets a little lighter because it's a transparent medium. And when you add more water, more of the paper shines through, and that's how you create your lights in watercolor, is by adding water. And here, I'm dropping some water into the wet ocean to get some kind of, you see how it makes the texture? To give kind of the sense of water. Does it dry right away on paper? It takes about, it depends on how wet you're working. I'm working pretty wet here. Like I'm getting down to the orange and it looks like the orange is mostly dry. It's still a little wet. It probably, see, it's still wet right there. I would say like maybe 10 minutes. And in general, it does not leak through the next page. This is 140-pound paper, which is pretty good size paper, and that's what I recommend. Because you can buy thinner paper that's cheaper, but you won't be able to paint on the back side. So this is actually more economical. So you can see where I added water, that it created some texture. And now I'm adding a little bit of darker paint to get a little even more texture into the water. So you can play around with it, but don't push it too much or you'll just make a mess. Never gesso your paper before, you guys. This is watercolor paper and you never want to add gesso. So I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I'm mixing up, this is a lavender watercolor. I must be doing something with the sky. Oh, it looks like, what am I doing? Oh, I know, I'm putting the island in because part of my magical child thing, I'm very much, that magical child in me is very much in tune with the island. I'll give you a shot out my studio window, but I look right out at Santa Cruz Island, and the way the clouds and the mist hover around the island are very, very intriguing to me. So I mixed up that lavender, which is kind of an opaque, it's almost like a gouache type watercolor, which is better for portraying land because it has more density and more substance. And I'm just putting in kind of a suggestion of Santa Cruz Island out there. You can see in the water now, you can see the texture starting to form from adding the water to the paint. And yes, the magical child is your first assignment for this week. Whether you get it done by Wednesday or not, like I don't care, whoever has it done by Wednesday, or even if it's in progress, you're welcome to show it. But if it takes you all week or even longer to do a page, just work at your own pace. So here, you know, in some of the areas, the blue was still wet and they're blending a little bit, but it's okay. Because that's how the island is. It kind of merges with the sky and the water. Now I'm going to do the sky. I have my very largest brush, and I'm going to wet the whole sky area. By the way, you know, you're always welcome to work during this class time. I'm not really geared that way to work on art while I'm at the computer, but some people are. So you're welcome to always work on your journals while you're here. I don't care what you do. So I'm painting water all around. Again, it's kind of still wet and it's picking up some of that ocean, but you know, I'm just kind of spreading it around. It's going into the sky and that's okay. Now I'm going to drop the color of my sky in. You can see I have a variety of brushes. Putting in some blue. I'm just kind of smearing it around. You'll notice I haven't taped. I'm finding with this pad, each pad is different, but I haven't had to tape down my edges. Now you may find that you'll have to tape down your edges to do your painting so your paper doesn't curl. The other thing you can do is you can use those clips just to clip your paper down. I've used that a couple times and that works really well. I'm putting in some, these are the Radiant Dr. Martens. I think this is called Wild Rose. And so I'm kind of doing a blend in my sky. And now here's the tangerine color. And you can see it's kind of a rainbow blend. If I went from blue to orange, which are complementary colors, it would get kind of muddy. So you have to do it more in a rainbow blend. Like blue and pink make purple, and then purple and orange, you know, the pink and the orange make kind of they don't make brown. So you have to just be mindful about your blends and what the color mixing is going to do. And then it looks like I'm just picking up some excess down. I decided this was kind of dark and I'm trying to lighten it, but I don't think it picked up maybe a little. So a couple of questions here. Do I clean my palette each day after using? No, I just leave. Sometimes I'll wipe out some of the mixing trays, but in general, I leave them there. And I just clean my brushes with water. And I decide which brush to use depending on how large of an area and how much detail I want. So if I have a pretty large area to cover, I'm going to use my biggest brush possible. If I just have a small area and I'm trying to get detail, then I'll use a smaller brush. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you the background one more time. So this is, can you see the background? You see my background painting? So there's the finished painting. And then I'll show you here's my collaged magical child page. Now, can you see this okay? Okay, so what I'd like to propose that we do for our sharing, we started this a little bit last semester and I thought it worked really well, is to just write as simple of a poem as you want to go with your page. And you're going to start off, your first line is going to be, I am a magical child. And then you're going to go through and you're going to write about each thing on your page as if it's a part of you. Like in this upper left-hand corner, I am an illumination of the divine light, which, you know, and I am flying on a sled, on a toboggan, down a hill with complete abandon. I am the peony of protection above my head. Just use your images in your poem to describe yourself. I mean, use the images on your page to kind of describe yourself as the magical child. And then that's just what we will share when we come back on Wednesday. You'll share your page and you'll just read your poem about your page. So does that sound like a good plan, you guys? Does anybody have any questions about this before I get rid of the screen?
Could you put up the first one with the woods, the mushrooms, and the rainbow again, Carissa, please?
Yes. How's that?
Wonderful. Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty clear on it. We've got the magical poem that you sent us.
Oh yeah. Oh
Wait,
God, let me get out of here. My computer's going crazy. God. Jeez, leave me alone.
But you're suggesting that we write our own poem.
Yeah, I have a
put on our
poem.
page.
Let me just answer this one last question. Yeah, so we use a magazine. Yeah, so the process is you're going to do a watercolor painting on your page, and then you're going to kind of do your own meditation based on the meditation today, or you can go back in and fast forward this recording on the YouTube channel and listen to the meditation again to get into the zone of the magical child. You're going to flip through magazines and start collecting images. And then once you have enough of a pile to choose from, you're going to go through that pile and select which ones want to be on your magical child page. You're going to cut them out with scissors. You're going to play around with the layout. And you'll notice in my layout that I had my images kind of clustered together. Like I had the girl on the toboggan with the flower on her head and the dog kind of overlapping her. And then I had the castle on the book with a queen, a beekeeper goddess on top. And then I had the little girl in the ocean with her art supplies, you know, overlapping her, and then with the butterfly on her head. So try to combine your images together so they're not just plop, 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 all laid out in kind of an even grid. Try to have them kind of relate to one another a little bit more. And you can think about kind of composition. We can talk about, you know, composition when we do our feedback, and you'll learn more from looking at other people's pages about what kind of layouts you like and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to show you, I'm getting some questions about the watercolor. So I guess I was going to do this at the end, but I'm going to go ahead. Instead of making the new people stay on, we'll just kind of cover this all. I'm going to show you. So these are the Dr. Martens Radiant watercolors that I use. I think these were about $2.50 a bottle. They're highly concentrated. They last a really long time. I got them at Art Essentials, which is now open. Art Essentials on Victoria near Anacapa is open from 10 to 4 Monday through Thursday. And they had these here when I got them. Hopefully they still do. But this is what I mostly use for my art journal watercolor. They're super, super concentrated. They're not archival, which means that when they're exposed to sunlight over years, they will fade. But these, in the art journal pages, they're not going to be exposed to sunlight, so it's not an issue. And it's just they're a lot more affordable. But I also use, you know, I also use my other watercolors, my tube watercolors. So, oh, and I guess Art Essentials is now open Monday through Saturday. And I just use a glue stick, and it does work on the watercolor pages. So I just ordered a bulk box of glue sticks because I had run out and I was using my Yes paste, but that's my archival paste from my collage mixed media class. how much to use of concentrate. You know, you'll just squeeze in some drops into your palette, and a little bit goes a long way. But don't be afraid to put a lot on because it will dry. Once it dries, you can reconstitute it and use it again, so you won't be wasting it. And Mary says she got a set on Amazon for $50. She got a whole set of them. So that way you'll have a lot of colors. Okay, does anybody have any other questions about the technical aspects? Oh, the palette, yeah, the palette.
Also, Carissa, one question. I'm going through my old Daniel Smith tubes and half of them are completely dried up. Is there any secret to using them or do I chuck them?
Yeah, what I do is I take a utility knife and cut the tube open. If you can't squeeze the paint out, I just slice it open and I peel back the metal,
okay,
you know, container, and then I just put it in my palette and use it like a watercolor cake. So you add water to it, and the paint will still dissolve. Just drop the concentrate and mix with water. Yeah, so you're gonna put the liquid watercolor into your palette. You can get any size palette. I like these big ones because they have a lot of space. But you're just gonna take your dropper and put it in one of these little trays, and then you dip your brush. Don't dip the brush in the paint and then dip it in the water because you'll waste all your paint. But I like to get some water from my brush and actually put it in one of these trays first, empty trays, and then put your brush in the water and then add the paint to the water till you have enough to have the desired darkness of color. Okay? Hopefully that explains it well enough. Okay, so how are we doing? Is everybody good? Okay, I think what I'd like to do is
What
go
kind of
ahead.
glue?
I just use a regular glue stick.
Okay, thanks.
Did you
I
say,
love the glue dots though too. They're so tidy and easy.
What are they, Peggy?
The glue dots.
Oh, I don't know about glue dots. Do you want to tell us about them?
Yeah, I've got the package here. I can show you.
Meanwhile, will you show us the glue stick?
Sure. Yeah, I just got a big box of them.
Glue dots called Zots. Glue dots called Zots. Little tiny pieces of glue.
can you hold it higher? We can't see it. I still can't
Put
see
it in front of the camera. Put it in front of your face, Peggy.
You really can't see them.
Put it in front of your face.
Glue dots.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah, they
Okay.
looks like a
Little
piece of
dots
paper.
called Zots. And for somebody who has a little tendency for what, OCD, this is mess-free. I love them. I bought them one time when I couldn't find glue stick, and I'm an addict now.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So this is what I just use a regular, it's just Elmer's all-purpose glue stick. It's acid-free, non-toxic, permanent, you know, photo safe. I got a pack of 12 for $10 and free shipping.
What did you say if they dry with the glue sticks? Did you say something about that?
What's that?
If they dry, the glue sticks? I thought you said something you do with them if they dry.
Oh, she was talking about the watercolor paints.
Oh, I thought you said something before that about the glue sticks if they dry.
No, I think she was asking about what do you do with watercolors when they dry up?
I was wondering if the glue stick glues okay on watercolor, like there's not an issue, right?
Yep, there's not an issue. Mine are all glued on watercolor.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Carissa, I've been using Mod Podge to glue my stuff down, and I know that some people put a layer of Mod Podge over. I never do that. Could you just speak to that issue? I know we're all doing different kinds of things.
Yeah, so Mod Podge is used when you want to add another medium on top of. Like if you do a watercolor painting and then use glue stick to glue your paper or your magazine on top of it, and then you go to paint on top of it with any kind of wet medium, the collaged magazine or paper is going to lift. With Mod Podge, but I think you have to put a layer on top of the collage. But when you do that and you Mod Podge it on the bottom and the top of your collage, then you can go back as much as you want with paint and add more layers and paint on top of it, and it's not an issue.
Carissa?
Yes.
You spoke about watercolors that fade. Am I all muffled?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. You spoke about watercolors that fade after a year or so if they're exposed to light.
Right.
What watercolors don't fade if they're exposed?
Well, any kind of good archival watercolors. So Dr. Martens makes a couple of other lines. One are called, they're all liquid. One is called Hydrus watercolors, HYDRUS, those are archival. Then he makes his India inks, and those are archival. Or any kind of like good watercolor. Like I have this bag of different tube watercolors. These are like Daniel Smith and Winsor Newton. These are really good quality, all archival watercolors. But you don't really need archival watercolors for the art journal page, but if you want to, then you'll want to get a higher grade of watercolors.
Thank you.
Sure. You can also use, I have gouaches. I have these gouache. You can use gouache, you can use liquid acrylic, you can use acrylic inks. I mean, you can use any media that you want. And I would say the more media you have, the more choices you have with your painting experience. Okay, so are there any more questions before we go into the meditation? I wanted to ask too, because it looks like, let's see, what I said we're going to end at 2:30. Does anybody have any pages from our last class on the higher self that they wanted to share today? Okay, so why don't we do the meditation first? And then those of you who want to get off and start working on your pages, you can. And those of you who want to stay for the share can stay, and we'll take a look at the higher self pages from our last week, from last session. Okay?
So how does it work? We normally on Mondays, we will listen to a meditation and then work.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do on Mondays is pretty much what I'm doing today. I'm going to introduce the topic. I'm going to show you the demo for the watercolor page. I'm going to lead you through a guided meditation. And then we're going to get off the meeting and you're going to go work on your page.
And then do we come back?
Then you come back on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. So
once we get off today, we're done for the day.
And where is your meditation located on your YouTube? Where can I find that?
It's going to be Carissa Luminous. Just search for Carissa Luminous, and and my channel will come up.
And it's a different meditation for each exercise?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah. I was going to
We
show
do it
you
right now, right?
Yeah, I was going to show you. Can you see my island out there?
Wow.
Oh my
That's
God.
we've got a ladder out there because we're working on, but that's my magical child. Those clouds over this, they always hover the island. That's been like my refuge it's been my protection through all this coronavirus thing, looking at that island.
So, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Okay, so after you do this meditation and we look in whatever magazines we have here, are
right.
we looking specifically for magical child feeling?
What I like to do is every time I flip through a magazine, I gather any images from that magazine that evoke any kind of response for me. Because the thing is about our soul, oh yeah, I was going to read the poem. Okay, thank you for the reminder, Mary. The thing is about our soul is that oftentimes it's way ahead of us. It doesn't operate in the fourth dimension of time. It's like way on to the next archetype that we don't even know yet. So it's kind of pre-finding images for us for the future. So gather any images from that magazine that evoke any kind of response from you. And then once you have enough of a collection, because you're just starting out, you're going to have to build up your fodder. I have a nice amount. I'll show you. I have this plastic sleeve with lots of different images in here that I've been collecting. So once you have enough, then you can sort through your pile and decide what wants to go on that page. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So it could go the whole course. I just collect as I see things.
What's that?
I could end up using something I cut today in 3 weeks, is what you're saying.
Yeah, or maybe even in the fall, you know, maybe several months from now, or you may never use it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I was going to read the poems. Did I just have one poem? Yeah, I just have one poem. Okay, so I'm going to read the poem and then we'll do the guided meditation. Losing my voice. Once there was a child and he was free. Deep inside he felt the laughter, the mirth and play of nature's glee. Beauty, love was all he'd see. He knew his power was the power of God. He was so sure they considered him odd. This power of innocence, of compassion, of light, threatened the priests and created a fight. In endless ways, they sought to dismantle this mysterious force which they could not handle. In endless ways, they tried to destroy his simple trust, his boundless joy. His invincible armor was a shield of bliss. Nothing could touch it, no venom, no hiss. The child remained in a state of grace. He wasn't confined in time or place. In technicolor dreams, he frolicked and played. While acting his part, in eternity he stayed. Soothsayers came and fortunes were told. Some were vehement, others were bold. In denouncing this child, this perplexing creature, with the rest of the world he shared no feature. Is he real? He is so strange. His unpredictable nature knows no range. He puzzles us so. Is he straight? What's his destiny? What's his fate? And while they whispered and conspired through endless rumors to get him tired, to kill his wonder, trample him near, burn his courage, fuel his fear, the child remained just simple, sincere. All he wanted was the mountain high, color the clouds, paint the sky. Beyond these boundaries, he wanted to fly. In nature's scheme, never to die. Don't stop this child. He's the father of man. Don't cross his way. He's part of the plan. I am that child, but so are you. You've just forgotten, just lost the clue. Inside your heart sits a seer. Between his thoughts, he can hear a melody simple but wondrously clear. The music of life, so precious, so dear. If you could for one moment know this spark of creation, this exquisite glow, you would come and dance with me, kindle this fire so we could see all the children of the earth wave their magic and give new birth to a world of freedom with no pain, a world of joy, much more sane. Deep inside, you know it's true. Just find that child, it's hiding in you.
Carissa, is there any way you could hold the poem up to the screen so we could take a picture of it?
I emailed it to you. Did you get it in the email?
Oh, I didn't see it. I must have missed it.
It is attached to the email.
Okay, thank you.
So you should have a copy of it.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't, email me and I'll send it to you again.
I'm sure I'll find it.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments on that poem?
It's
Hi,
touching.
Carissa. It's Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. I just wanted to say this poem was wonderful, and it had so many images that it evoked when I read it, and so many phrases that were just precious. And I think of Michael Jackson's life, and we were the same age. So when I was very young, he was very young, and he was so talented, but such a mixed life he had as he got older. But what an amazing poem. Do you know the year?
No, I don't know the year. I don't, that wasn't, was it listed on here? No, it wasn't listed.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know he's another one of those people that, you know, he had his magic, he didn't really have a childhood. He was,
No.
but then he kept that whole magical child alive in the whole Neverland place, you know?
Yes.
That's what I was going to say. I thought he retained his magical child his whole life. And, you know, I don't know what his whole life was about. But that poem is about his magical child. And, you know, like I say, I have no idea about his whole life, but that was lovely. That was a perfect poem to the magical child within.
Yeah. Great. Okay.
Good poem. Thank you, Carissa.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to mute everybody again just to make sure it's quiet. One more question from Sarah wants to know where I found the plastic sleeves. I just get those when I order my prints to sell. I'm not really sure where, but you could get any kind of folder or just anything to contain your fodder is good. When I teach in class, I often have these to donate, but I won't be able to pass them. Actually, well, I could put some in my box, but I don't think I have any extra plastic sleeves right now, but anything to contain your fodder is good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our meditation. Go ahead and get yourselves really super comfortable. I need to get a pillow. So I like to kind of sit away from the back of my chair so that my spine is holding me up. And the first thing I like to do is plant my feet really firmly, solidly on the ground and feel the sits bones being firmly held by the chair. And just start out by receiving that support of the ground beneath you. And just allow gravity to just hold you. And just feel how supportive that is. You don't have to do anything. You can just receive the ground of support beneath you. And you can close your eyes and allow your spine to lengthen up toward the heavens from that solid holding of the ground. And start to take some deep, slow breaths into your belly. And turn your attention towards your inner landscape. And let's just do a few 3-part breaths. So breathe into your belly, your chest, and all the way up to your shoulders. And then exhale from your shoulders, down to your chest, down to your belly. Inhale, belly, chest, shoulders. Exhale, shoulders, chest, belly. And just do that a few times and just keep focused on your breath. Notice how this slower, deeper breathing just automatically relaxes you. And as you become more relaxed, you can just consciously scan your body and release any areas that feel tense or tight, or any areas that you're holding or clenching, and just soften and relax. And just kind of surrender. There's no place to go, nothing to do, nobody to pay attention to. Just be here now, relaxed and held. Allow your thinking mind to drop down, your consciousness to drop down into your heart space. And drop the 3-part breath, and now just breathe naturally in and out of your heart space. You might even feel a little tingling and expansion as you bring your awareness into your heart. You'll notice that the armor starts to soften and melt as your heart expands. You may even begin to feel some feelings of love, compassion. You don't have to do anything with this, just allow it to be in you. Notice how you're starting to feel less defended. And from this place of softness and relaxed undefendedness, imagine yourself in the most beautiful natural environment that is possible for you. No matter what kind of landscape that is, whether it's mountains or forest, or sea, or tropical island, or jungle, or desert, whatever evokes a sense of awe and wonder and beauty and magic and love for you, just find yourself there. And just picture all around you the elements of this landscape. Take it all in. Feel yourself held here by beauty and love. And as you become more immersed in this enchanted land, you start to feel and tune into the subtle energies of the Divine Mother that permeates this space and all spaces. You feel her actual, tangible, palpable presence of loving holding and adoration of you. Just as you are in this enchanting land, she is completely enchanted by you. And she holds you and sees you with eyes of pure love and adoration. And as you bask in her love light shining on you, you become completely filled with the radiant light of eternal love. And you are truly in a magical realm because you have entered the realm of eternity, of infinite love. Time out of time where there is only this moment. And you are filled with creative force, life energy, just brimming in you. And it's wanting to come through you in all kinds of self-expression, whether it be dancing or painting or singing or writing a poem or planting a garden. This magical child just wants to celebrate the life force in a complete state of abandonment, lighthearted joy and delight. No responsibilities, no burdens, no worldly obligations. You are only here to exist in a magical realm in each moment and to be a living manifestation of the divine child that is inherent in all of us. That is our birthright to be. So breathe in this wonder and beauty and magic. And if you choose to, you can make a vow to your magical child that you will honor her and allow her to inhabit you and to express herself in your life and give her space to be in your life. And we give thanks to the Divine Mother who always holds us in this loving presence, and all we have to do is choose to tune into her and receive her. And we give thanks to our magical child. And we'll come back and return to our group. And so you can choose to say bye-bye and go work on your journals or whatever you want to do. And for those of you who want to stay and hang out and see the higher self pages from a couple weeks ago, we'll go ahead and share those. So I'm going to stop the recording now.